Hello, spring is in the air. Welcome to the community of Tashay Life. I am your girl, Alma Tashay. I am your purpose and identity strategist, and I am so glad you're here. And you know what? The time is now for you to rise again. The time is now for you to rise again. That's been our theme. That is our theme for the year in this community. The time is now. And what better time to rise again than during Holy Week, Resurrection Week, and April? Beautiful spring. The dead leaves are gone. The sun is shining, and there's fresh air just for you. The time is now to rise again. And so I'm so excited you're here again with Tashay Life Community. And let's get it on in right after this. So, throughout the last couple of weeks since the beginning of the year, I told you that the theme is a time is now. We started in January with the time is now for us to own, and accept our identity, who we are and who we're created to be. In February, we talked about the time is now for us to love and value ourselves and not wait on anybody else to do it. That is, romantic relationships, that's relational relationships, that's familiar relationships, that's professional relationships. The time was now. And then in March, we talked about starting to own again, building what you were created to do. Women's Appreciation Month, letting go as the seasons were changing, anything we needed to let go of. And the time is now for us to rise again. And it came to me, what better time to talk about rising again than during Holy Week and Resurrection Week? And no, this is not Community of Hope Bible Fellowship. And if you aren't, stay tuned for that, because we have our community building over there. But just to give a little insight on Holy Week, I'm just using the term. This isn't what this is going to be about, although I'm unapologetic about my faith, you know that. But, I thought about us going into Holy Week with Resurrection Sunday on the way. And, Jesus prepared for what he knew he had to do. He prepared all the way through Holy Week. He prepared even coming up as a child, but specifically during that week, he prepared with the disciples and the feet washing. He prepared by going out to pray. And, just a few key terms, grab your pen so we can get into this gems. But Holy Week, or the word holy, is from the Hebrew word kadesh and the Greek word hagios. It means set apart, consecrated, dedicated for a specific purpose rather than just moral perfection. The look good, the supposed to, the fit in. And then what are you set apart to do? And then Leviticus 11:44, for those who like to read like I do and get into the word, be holy even as I am holy, means living differently from the world. 1 Peter 1:15 through 16, but as he who called you is holy, you also must be holy. So that's your Bible thumb. But I was thinking about that during Holy Week and being set apart. The time is now to rise again. How can you be set apart and rise again? Jesus separated himself leading up to what would be the greatest moment that was needed for history, his resurrection, his death, burial, and resurrection. So our year-long theme is the time is now, right? And like I said, we know we talked about in January, we know we talked about in February, but I want to look at some things now. As we enter into April, is spring, is fresh, the dead is gone. Hopefully where you are, the cold is gone, the dry leaves are gone. We were driving down the street, you saw the pretty flowers and the blooms and all that is coming up, and it's time to rise again. So I want you to get your pen and paper, because I want to ask you a few questions. I want to ask you, just like we were dealing with Holy Week, in order for the Lord to obtain his greatest mission on earth, he had to go through some things. He went through some things that Sorry about that. He went through some things that eventually killed him. Not that he was killed, but he gave up his life, but that's a different story. But he went through some things leading to that. And I want to ask you about some things that you may have gone through that seem to have killed you. What are some things that you know you were called to do, but there have been some dead seasons prior to? Okay, so write down these questions. What were you destined for? Jesus knew what he was destined for. He knew he came here to live, to die, to restore humanity back to his Father. He knew that. But what were you destined to? What were you called to do? Do you know you're a writer? Do you know you are a speaker? Do you know you are a teacher? Do you know you are a heart surgeon? Do you know you are a janitorial owner? Do you know you are a mechanic? Do you know you are a phlebotomist? Do you know you are a mother? Do you know you are a wife? Do you know you are a stay-at-home mother? Do you know you're a homeschooler? I mean, literally, there is nothing off the table. What do you know you are destined for? Are you a helper? Are you a server? Are you destined to encourage people? What is your gift? What are you, a singer? Are you a songwriter? Are you a dancer? Are you an actor? Are you a model? What are you a digital guru? What are you destined for? And I need you to get unapologetically honest about that question. The only thing that really holds us back, 99% of the issue that holds anybody back from anything, is the fact that they don't know what they want. They don't know who they are, and they don't know what they want. And the reason is, a lot of times they don't know, or they don't accept who they are. And, in this quiet season over the last couple of months, running with this theme, there were some really come to Jesus, come to Alma moments, because it was like, yeah, that's what I like, and I'm unapologetic about it. No, that's not my plan. That's not what God has for me. And you know what? I'm unapologetic about it. Because if you're not careful, and go back and look at my page, I did a whole short on this. Because if you're not careful, other people will infiltrate you with their limitations. So my nickname is Mogul One Billionaire. That's my nickname. If you get emails from me, I'm sorry, I'm moving. But if you get emails from me, that is my nickname. That is one thing I love. I have had it for a long time. Stay tuned for that community. Also, that's going to be so fun. That's geared more towards my professional entrepreneurs. But my calling is not to retire from a job. God has shown me that. He's told me that. I know that. And I'm unapologetic about that. But people, in their good heart and good nature, will put their limitations on you. They will be quick to say, you need to stay on this job. You need to apply for this job so you can have a retirement, or you can have a benefit. And those things in and of themselves are not bad. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that's not what I'm called for. And it came to a point when I had my come to shade meeting with me and the Lord. It was like, doggone it, I want to do this. Doggone it, I don't want to do that. Doggone it, I ain't called to that. Doggone it, that ain't what God told me. And I also did a post about this. You can go back and look at my page. And this came out of nowhere. What you don't need a second opinion for what God has already mandated. Point, period, blank. There's no room for second opinions for what God has already mandated, called you to, told you to. He is the master of all. And if he has called you to something and told you to do something, that is what you do. I'll share this real quick. There was a nonprofit on my heart 15 years ago. I was still married. God gave it to me plain as day. Might have been more than 15 years ago. God gave it to me plain as day. He told me to do it. I shared it with a relative, an aunt, somebody that I admired. And I had that feeling in my gut when I shared it. You know, that feeling that's like, shut up. This ain't the person to talk to. I ain't need you to take that there. You know what I'm saying? And I kept talking anyway. I shared this with her and I said, this is what I'm thinking, and this is what I want to do, and this is what God gave me. And the first thing she did was knock it down and told me I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I couldn't do it like that. She's older than me. That's not the way you talk to people like that, because it was dealing with inmates and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to work with juveniles and inmates. And that's not the way I could do it. And it won't work like that. She's older than me and wiser than me. She know a little bit more than me. Those were her exact words. And you're not going to be able to do it like that. Shut it completely down. Now, had I known then what I know now, that was just straight haterade, you know, I would have handled it differently. I shouldn't have even told her. But now I know that. And I realize I don't need nobody to co-sign on what God already decreed. But that is how people who are fearful of who you are will try to sabotage your call. So what I'm saying to you is, what are you called to do? What are you called to do? The next question, what stopped you? What stopped you from doing what you called to do? So remember, we're dealing with rise again. So that means one time you were up, but you went down, or you had a moment, or you backed away. You know, delay is not always denial. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But what stopped you? When you had made your mind up to do this, whether to go to school, to pursue a new career, whatever the case may be, what stopped you? Who falsely accused you? Jesus was falsely accused. He went in front of, who was that? Pontius Pilate, who said, I find no fault with the man. I think it was Pontius, maybe wrong, but I find no fault, or Caiaphas, one of them. I find no fault with the man, but do what you will with him, because he was more into political opinion. So sometimes we have people like that in life. They will rather agree with the crowd than support you, because they don't want to lose their popularity or their familiarity or their whatever. You know what I'm saying? So who I'm so sorry, I hit the mute button. So what stopped you? Who falsely accused you? Who chose the other side for popularity? Who betrayed you? Listen, I was in a business the first time, and someone who I pretty much grew up with, who I would have considered my best friend, was in the business with me. This was a business that there's so much room at the top, everybody can win. Like, you can't win without somebody else winning. And literally, my ex-husband, who told me, he said, I'm a nasty individual, so I know nasty individuals. He told me that. And he literally told that she was betraying me. Literally. There was no questions about it. There was no question about it. We knew exactly what it was. And he told me that. I don't know. I hope y'all can hear me. We're having some technical difficulties. I don't know what's happening. That means the enemy does not want me to get this out. But we're going to get this out. I promise you we're going to get this out. We're going to get this out. I'm going to use a new system and we're going to get this out, because this has to be heard. So anyway, so he told me that she was talking about me and I needed to be careful. And I said, no, 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 not her, definitely. And sure enough, she betrayed me. She knew, because she was family, pretty much like family. She knew all my personal business. She knew when he and I separated. She knew about the divorce. She knew about all that. So she was literally taking that information to other people. She was taking that information, I appreciate you, to other people in our group. And she literally told me that our director at the time and another young lady, they will all get on the phone and talk about my personal business. And it eventually, the Lord led me out of that particular group, because you never allow yourself to be the source of anybody else's entertainment. And I let them kind of cohort together. But that person actually tried to sabotage my business, my family, my children, and still had the goat herd to try to finesse my children. She wouldn't talk to me, but she would go to my children and try to buy them gifts and all that type of stuff. Total Jezebel spirit. And to this day, I think it was last month, I saw she still viewed my profile on TikTok. Somebody that tried to sabotage. And I'm saying that because I had to step back, even in that moment, to build again. I don't regret it, because it was needed, because it's like cancer. You got to be careful it don't spread. So I want to ask you, who betrayed you? Was it a family member? Was it a friend? Let me show you this. Was it a family member? Was it a friend? Was it your lover? Was it your husband or your wife? Was it your job? I've worked with some people that can be very cantankerous because of your skills and your ability, and it can get to you. I remember I worked, I've been in law enforcement most of the time, and I worked for a particular law enforcement agency, and I was in a separate department from dispatch. And I remember the manager of that department at that time, she just had it out for me. She did everything she could to destroy me. Matter of fact, the other colleagues in the department went to human resources on my behalf to complain against her. They did it. I didn't. That's a really heavy deal when other people go to support you on your behalf. But that's why you try to live your life in a way where they support you when you do. They support your character. But she would try to betray me on every path. They would try to betray on every behalf. So who is it that betrayed you and it cut deep? Was it the church? I mean, we just having a real conversation. Remember, the Touche Life community is about having strength through truth, testimony, and transformation. So was it the church? Who betrayed you? And I want you to be honest. Remember, you have to be honest about what tried to kill you or bury you. Time was up. Was time up? Do you feel like you ran out of time on something? There are times when, although God will give us back time, we step out of that time of grace. Like, this was the time to do this. And then you look up one day and you see somebody else has done it or done something similar. Although nobody can do exactly what you've done, they did something similar, and you missed that time of grace. Now God will give you that back, and there, if he so desires, and there are times you can come to do something different. But did that stop you? What stopped you? Who stopped you? Was it divine redirection? So much was going on with COVID and into 2022 when COVID was ending. And there were so many plans and things that I had in place. And all of a sudden, the love of my life was killed. Things weren't going right with the employment. Had to up and relocate a state by divine providence. Don't regret any of it, but I'm saying everything that I had, all the plans, all the notes, stagnated. Like, bam. You know what I'm saying? So what stopped you? Was it a divine redirection? Who slept on you when it was your time to pray? What do I mean? Before Jesus was crucified, he asked his disciples to wait there with him while he went to pray. Remember the Garden of Gethsemane? And he came back and found them sleeping. He said, "Could you not watch with me for an hour?" And what I mean by that is, whether you are a disciple of Christ or not, there have been times in your life where you've been broken, you've been down, it's like, oh, I need a friend, I have a moment, I need help. And the friends or the people that you felt would have been there to support you just weren't. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I'm sure it wasn't just me and Jesus, but they weren't there. When you came back to look for them, because he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was praying, Lord, if it be your will, remove this cup from me. I don't want to go through this, but not my will, your will be done. There are times in our life when we're going through things and we need people, and it's like, Lord, help me, I'm going to go through this. And the people you expect to have your back just not there. Is that something that stopped you? Do you feel you left hanging? What beat you and bruised you? We knew Jesus was beaten and bruised. What beat you? What do you feel beat you? Left you bruised, left you hurt? Did somebody walk out on you? Did they desert you? Were you abandoned? Self-explanatory. What do you feel you gave your all to, but still somebody else got it? What killed you? Maybe a part of you, a part of your hope, a part of your dream, a part of your, go get itness killed you. And what's been buried? What is in you that you took and you just buried it and put it away? You just left it. I need you to be honest with those things, okay? Strength, you gain your strength through truth. Then testimony, because they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and word of testimony, and then you have your transformation. I need you to be honest with those. So now, once we have those questions out of the way, but what is it? What if what you buried was only buried to conquer and defeat and rise greater? Let me read that again. What if what you had to bury or walk away from was only walked away from and buried in order to conquer and defeat and rise greater? We can all agree, and we should, that we are not the same person or people that we were when the incident occurred. We should not be, especially once you go through those questions I asked. We should not be, okay? We should all be better. We should all have grown. You should not be the same level of mother that you were with your first as you were with your sixth. I'm not talking about morals and standards. I'm talking about just we grow in wisdom. We should. So what if what you went through, Jesus went through all he went through to be able to get up to obtain something greater, not just for him, but for everybody? What if you went through what you went through and buried it and God took it away and that timing was different and all of that, just so now you can rise again and come back better to serve not just you and your family, but others, to live in your destiny? What about it? He laid there for 3 days. What happened in them 3 days? Now, 3 days is, in our case, could be symbolic. It might have been 3 years for you. Might have been 30 years, but that's okay because we're here to rise again. The time is now. The first day he laid there. The second day he got up and battled in hell. And then the third day he got on the third day he got up. I can remember moving to Atlanta. And I can tell you that first year, although we did good career and all of that, but that first year was dormant. I was in the grave. What do I mean by that? I had to adjust. I was alone. It was cold. I remember my first snow. It was cold. It was quiet. It was lonely. Going out of that first year into that second year, I had to fight. I had to fight for me back. I had to fight for my identity back. I had to fight. I got counseling. I walked through things with my children. I fought for my identity, for my business. I fought to get back. I had to slay them demons. But on that third day, by the time I got that third year, Tashay Life was actually birthed. And this was something that was conceived back in Florida. The Alma's Apothecary, the books, because we had to go through, but I had to be buried to rise again. What will you have to rise again? And I hope y'all with me on this, because I'm telling you now, these some nuggets I'm dropping down on you. You feel what I'm saying? These are some nuggets. So what do you have to go through and rise again from to bring the ultimate glory to God about what you're doing? Because he gave you those gifts. How can you rise again today? The time is now. Okay. So let's do some practical steps. Okay. Right after this, we're going to do a quick break and we're going to do some practical steps. Drum roll, please. I thought that was fun. Again, I'm your girl, Alma Tashay. If you're new here and you don't know me, I am your identity and purpose strategist. I am so happy that you are part of Tashay Life community. And if anything said here resonated with you or touched your heart and your mind, please be sure to jump on over to tashaylife.com. I put it in the chat. And you can stay in the know, get your merch and more about everything that's going on. So I love you and I'm so glad you're here. Now, let's get into some practical steps about what we talked about, because the time is now to what? Rise again. Okay, so resurrection requires release. Write that down. Resurrection requires release. Okay. In order for the Lord to go through what he went through and be resurrected, there's some things he had to be willing to let go. It just came to my mind. Remember, he stood at the cross when he knew he was dying, and he looked at John and he said, "Behold, now this is your mother." He had to release her. He had to tell his disciples, "I go away from you now, and where I go, you can't go, but you'll see me again, or you'll come later. I go to prepare a place," whatever. It has so much biblical reference, even though this wasn't about the biblical reference, but he had to be willing to let go. He had to be willing to leave. What are you holding on to so that is keeping you from rising again? I could not rise till I left home. I could not rise until I left Florida. Okay, write this down. Resurrection requires release. Are you ready? 1, it's a new season. It's a new day. It's a new season. That's a song. I like that. Okay. What must you release to resurrect? Don't carry death into the new life. What must you release to resurrect? Don't carry death into the new life. The time is now to leave them, leave it, and leave there. Go. You're going to write yourself down. These are practical tips. 2, mindsets. Mindsets can't carry. Okay, so to rise again, you can't carry old mindsets into the new year, not into your resurrection. So think a new thought. What's a new mindset that you have to have? I can tell you, I remember the day I decided to move forward with my divorce. I was on the floor praying and I was crying out to the Lord. I'm like, "Lord, why? What am I going to do? I've done everything." Da, 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 da. And the Lord said to me, "You've done everything but leave." And that was true. That's what it sounded like in my head. I had done everything but leave. I tried everything. I've said everything. I've bought everything. I've done everything but leave. I had to think a new thought. I had to think, why not go? I'm not promoting divorce, so don't get on here talking about all that. My situation, I had biblical grounds, but I had to think a new thought. So, what thought do you need to think about your situation, about that thing you buried, about that thing you put back? You want to go back to school? Want to go back to school? What new thought do you need to think? Well, I don't know if you've done everything but do it. So there are no more excuses, because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity. 3, stop revisiting what God already brought you out. Leave the grave, the tomb is empty. Stop revisiting what he brought you out. Don't be like, what's my boy Lot's wife in the Bible? Turn around, turn to a pillar of salt. Don't be like that. And that represents her longing for what was behind more than what was ahead. When we keep revisiting what God delivered us from, we are a slave to that, and we are holding ourselves hostage from freedom. Do you want to be free, or do you want to stay in the grave? Because I want you to think about this right now. You're still alive with breath in your body. And if you're holding on to something, if you're staying buried in what, and you have the potential to live out what you're called to do, imagine somebody being buried alive. Imagine somebody being buried alive. Can you imagine that? It's not cool. Can you imagine your loved one being buried alive? Wouldn't you rather have them with you? Well, guess what? There are people waiting on you. waiting on me, waiting on us to live out our destiny and our calls. And what we've buried, we've been buried alive. So leave the grave. The tomb is empty. They told them that when they came back, like the tomb is empty. He's not here. And guess what? You're not there. Okay? You're not there anymore. We're leaving that. The time is now to what? Rise again. So your past, your mistakes, and your regret, they're not there. They're not there. Forgive yourself. The time is now to rise again. The dead season is gone. The sun is shining. The air is fresh. Everything is blooming. Your last relationship didn't work out the way it wanted to. The time is now to rise again. Okay? So when Christ reappeared, he reappeared in a new glorified body. Show up differently. Practical step. This one is fun, ladies. Oh, yes. This is when it's fun. Yes. This one to get gooder. Now, some more practical steps. Time to show God. Jesus showed up differently when he came back and appeared for them in his new glorified body. I want you to try some of these fun things. Resurrect a new mindset, resurrect a new image, resurrect a new hairstyle, a new color on your toes, your nails. If you always get pink, get red. If you always get French, get American. Do something new. If you always get your hair cut to the right, get it to the left. I want you to resurrect something new that makes you feel good and own it. Now, you don't have to go drastic. If your look, like my look is the blonde or red. If I'm not going to go drastic too much, but my drastic may be just a design in the hair or a different shade of blonde. So do something and resurrect a new you. Show up for you differently. Okay. Did you know you can go to like Banana Republic? I know because I was one. But different stores and look for their atelier. That's their stylist. And then have them style you up for free. For free. Okay? There's no excuse. Go get dolled up. Okay? Step into that call that you have been avoiding. That interest that you've been avoiding. Because now you're going to resurrect, you're going to show up in a new glorified body, a new beautified body. And now you're going to step into that call that you've been avoiding. What is it? What's that hobby? I was talking to one of my children, and one of them wants to sew, and one of them wants to knit. And we were thinking about it at the same time. And we're going to work on getting them some sewing and knitting. Because I don't sew and knit. My grandma did that, but it's just my mama did it too, but it just wasn't my thing. But what is that interest go out with some girlfriends to the comedy club. Go out and make some perfume. And I know they had those little perfume parties. Go and do a paint party. Whatever. Take on a new interest for you. It's a new season. The sun is out. Roads aren't snowed in, so there's no reason for you to get out. Okay? God gave you a desire for a reason. I talk about it all the time. I've never had a desire to do anything with blood or brains. I just haven't. But there are people that literally wake up that want to be phlebotomists and brain surgeons. And that's great. I love it for them. It's just not for me. Because that's not the desire that he put inside of me. What are the desires he put inside of you? To style clothes, to dress, to sing, to write poems, to go meet artists or art, whatever. Go live it out. Okay. Try a new drink. If you always I tried a new drink. You know, I'm a matcha girl, but if you always get the same coffee, get a different one. I did matcha with the banana because I don't do dairy. I do oat milk, coconut, and the dairy or something like that. I tried a new flavor. Okay, because I wanted something different. I didn't want the same old mundane. I wanted to show up differently. How can you show up differently? Try a new drink, try a new coffee, try a new flavor. Keep within your health things, but try it. Step into that call that you've been avoiding, that interest. God gave you that desire, like we said, try it. It's all attached to your call. Can't nobody do that thing like you do that thing. And that thing is meant for somebody else for you to connect to with that thing so you can help them build their thing. It's all connected in the circle of life. It's all connected. The way you dress, the way you feel, the way you talk, it's all connected. And somebody needs you to show up as you so you can help them accept being them. God gives us our identity, but he also gives us who we are to be a blessing to others. So I know and hope and pray that you got something out of this, a nugget or two. I pray that you put something of these into practice because they're going to be super cool, super fun, super great. I know they will bless you. And so again, I am your girl, Alma Tashay. This is the Tashay Life Community. As your girl, Alma Tashay, I am your purpose and identity strategist. I am here to serve you as we gain strength through truth, testimony, and transformation. Be sure to follow TashayLife.com for more and merch. We've got some fun, new, exciting things coming. Also, don't forget, if anything blessed you here, touched you in any way, hit that like, subscribe, and most of all, the share button. If there's somebody you know that's on your heart that you feel needs any of this, even if it's one thing, share. Don't be a gatekeeper. That may be the one thing to give them hope for the day, not because of me, but because the Lord used me. So I believe in you big. I love you like a lot. Till next time, ciao for now.